G'day hammerheads, welcome back to the bench, and today we are looking at two green compact rotary hammers. We got Metabo and Hikoki, or if you're in North America, we got Metabo versus Metabo. Let's see how they go. So depending on where you are in the world, these will have different names. Maybe you can't get both, maybe you can get both like here in Australia. But the dark green one is Metabo. That's the original German Metabo. It is a 100-year-old brand and originally named after Metallboarder, or however you say that. So a venerable old German toolmaker there and a venerable old Japanese toolmaker here. So this is Hikoki. North America, it's called Metabo HPT, Hitachi Power Tools. So this is formerly Hitachi, and no, don't expect any jokes from me anymore. I have turned a new leaf. Now, obviously there's a lot of overlap between what these two companies make, but Metabo makes a lot more like industrial metal sort of tools. A lot more of this sort of industrial metalwork kind of stuff. You know, nibblers, bevelers, bead removers, fillet grinders, burnishes. This is a specific stainless steel tool collection. So yeah, they do a lot more just specific like metalworking, industrial kind of tools. And Hikoki is more angled towards construction markets. So they're pretty famous for their nail guns, for instance. Whereas it looks like Metabo, they've only got one nailer. So yeah, while there is overlap, they are mostly going for different markets. I guess if you work in a workshop, you're more likely to get Metabo. If you work on a construction site, you're more likely to have Hikoki. And these are both owned by Koki Holdings. Koki means tool, I think, in Japanese. So anyway, that is the deal there. Regardless of what they're called where you are, this is the BH18 LTX BL16. So bore hammer, 18 volt, BL brushless, 16 is 16 millimeter rating, or about 5/8 maximum capacity. And this one is the DH18 DPA. So these guys are both subcompact hammers, but this one is rated to 18 millimeters or a bit bigger than 5/8. So let's look at the features. Straight up, the Metabo is looking like very industrial. It's got or even agricultural, you could say. It's got a nice rubberized trigger, which I do like. It is 2 modes, so hammer drill and drill only. So interesting thing about the cordless Alliance system batteries. So there's a bunch of brands use this style of battery. They got the battery release on the tool. So you got to press that to get your battery out. And you know, that's fine if you get used to it, but let's just say there's a reason why the industry norm is having the release on the battery itself. There is a bit of vibration dampening, although it's very stiff and you know, this thing doesn't really vibrate too much. One other cool thing is that the heat vent has this little cover on it. So I would have thought in your cold German winters, you would have wanted that hot air to blow over your fingers because, you know, maybe your hands are cold. But I guess, you know, the air in here can get up to sort of 70 degrees or something like that. So yeah, they put a little deflector on the vent there. And the Hikoki, so I don't even know what the hell you call this styling. It's like sci-fi or something, but I find it really cool. Very, very tiny. Both of these hammers are really small in the motor section. They are drop motors and they're really tiny in the motor section. This one also 2 mode. This one is also 2 modes, so hammer drill. And like a lot of the smaller hammers, you've actually got to be pressing on their chuck to get the hammering to start. Now the Hikoki is a newer model. It does have a few fancier kind of electronic features. It's got a low speed. It's got this auto stop timer. So it'll record how long you're drilling for. But if you want to see how well all that stuff works, go check out my previous Hikoki videos, because for now we are going to check out their specs. Alrighty, so here are the specs for our 2 stars of the show right here. They got very similar specs overall. In fact, the impact energy is the same, although the Hikoki does hit faster and also rev faster, so we do expect it to drill a little faster too. There's the Metabo section of the spreadsheet. And there's all my Hikokis. So let's just double check those revs. So 730, battery is freshly charged. Oh, auto stop still on. 1058. So revving a fair bit faster there. So just checking the weight, we got 1.7 kilos. and about 50 grams heavier, 1.77, 1.8. So the first test for the tiny hammers is, as always, 8 millimeters, about 3/8, going 80 mil into 32 MPa concrete. Let's see how they go. All right, for the 8 mil speed drill, how do they go? Well, kind of just in the middle there. So 11.61, 12.12 seconds average up there. So these two green guys are basically just behind all the bigger or newer rotary hammers. And in front of most of the older ones, the 12 volts, you know, Ryobi, not that powerful. So pretty much where you'd expect. One little surprise though is the Metabo actually did a little bit better than the Hikoki. And if we look at their numbers, that's pretty consistent. I mean, there's a lot of overlap. They're more or less the same. But one possible reason is that this test, drill bits do tend to bind up because they're real tight, and the Metabo maybe got a little bit more torque. And the next test, so this is something that all of my hammers get, 12 mil, same concrete. Let's go. All right, for the 12 mil speed drill, how do they go? There's one, and there's the other. So both these green guys are towards the back of the pack, but they are some of the smallest hammers on here. But this time the Hikoki is a little bit faster than the Metabo, and that's in line with what the specs would tell you. And also your 12 mil bits, they do have more room in the hole, they don't jam up so much. So yeah, a little bit more impact power, probably gonna get this guy over the edge. And our last test for these guys is the max capacity. So this one is rated to 16 millimeters or about 5/8, which is that big. But the Hikoki is rated to a little bit bigger, 18 millimeters. So let's see how they go. Where are they? Okay, so towards the front. Well towards the front of this pack. So you do see that with the smaller hammers because they are drilling smaller holes. And again, these guys are right next to each other on this chart. Metabo is a little bit faster, but don't forget the Metabo is drilling a little bit of a smaller hole. I would actually call this a win for the Hikoki because a 16 millimeter hole has a surface area of 201 millimeters squared. An 18 millimeter hole has 254 millimeters squared. So that's actually a 25% bigger hole for only 10% more time. So I call this a win for the Hikoki. All right, guys, well, there you go. Pretty similar performance overall from some pretty similar tools. I wouldn't really be surprised if these guys had, you know, the same, if not very similar motors and very similar hammers. Maybe they're even the same, you know. They are owned by the same parent company, these two brands, and it's not uncommon for two brands to share IP or supply lines, things like that. But really, out of these two, you know, the Hikoki is gonna be my pick. I really do like Hikoki in general. I use their tools a fair bit. The Metabo here, I haven't used this one as much, mainly just because I've only got this big battery for it. I try to run light with my tools rather than bigger. But if you do have a lot of experience using this, with the Metabo brand, let us know in the comments what you reckon, and hey, same with the Hikoki as well. But obviously they have much bigger selections than just these two, and of course this one is compatible with a bunch of other brands of tools as well. So, you know, you got to factor that in if you're actually going to invest in a cordless system. So if any of you hammerheads have experience with either of these guys, sound off in the comments, let us know your experiences, because I can't test everything on this channel. And until next time, you know, like and subscribe and do all that YouTube stuff, and I will scratch yous later.